This is Wrestling Republic. Wrestling Republic. This is Wrestling Republic. Wrestling Republic. This is Wrestling Republic.
Good evening from Swansea wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. Your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And it's December 29th, 2023. And you know what that means. It means that tomorrow night is AEW Worlds End. Perhaps, potentially, MJF's last match with AEW, as he'll be defending that AEW championship against Samoa Joe. Exciting times. We said it earlier in the week. To have a pay-per-view this late in the calendar year, well, it's almost unheard of in wrestling, but I'm excited for it. I know that people who are joining me today are also excited for it, so let's just jump straight into things and let me introduce today's co-host of the show, the man who you usually see on a Tuesday, the Tuesday Night Delight, Shad. Shad, how are you today?
Ben, I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to talk about this spectacular pay-per-view we have. Looking at the card, we got ourselves some matches, so I'm definitely excited to watch that tomorrow and talk about it today. You know, unfortunately, Tiffany Stratton will not be wrestling tomorrow. She should have been the one to beat MJF for the AEW title, but we'll discuss that for a later time.
Absolutely. We certainly will. There's a lot of controversy surrounding that one. That is for sure. But also joining me today, we have the man who goes, well, he's got, an extended family, one might say, but today, he's Carter Crisp. Carter, how are you?
What's up, Ben? I'm good. I'm out here in Vegas. I'm ready to go to this WWE house show, but ready to talk about the other company, the one me Clark, and who think might be the better wrestling company. But I'm excited. I saw Shad got his Tiffy Time shout out, so we're rolling high and we're ready to go, and I'm ready to talk about this pay-per-view.
Absolutely no. I mean, that shout out a couple of days ago. So I haven't been on a show, actually. I just realized since that happened. When, Tiffany Strand commented on your post, Shad. I think I had like 3 missed calls from Clark. That's how excited he was about the entire thing. But yep, Tiffany Stratton watches NXT off the air. So if you're not watching it, well, what's your excuse? But last but certainly not least, we have Bret Sternberg joining us. Bret, how are you today? And I can already see you're wearing an AEW shirt, so I'm presuming you're very excited. You're also very muted as well as excited. Oh, yeah. This mute button.
Yeah, hi everyone, how are we? I'm very excited to get into this conversation today. I'm looking forward to this weekend for sure. And like I said, you're going to hear my comments on the show about everything, but yeah, I had to represent.
So what you're telling me is that I'm trapped on a show with 2 AEW marks. Oh no, how will I survive? But in all seriousness, I think... Yep.
Lately though, I've been liking both equally. I'm not on...
That's good.
Yeah, I'm not on either side right now. I'm very unbiased.
Well, I try and be the same as well. I think in all seriousness, as much as we like to joke, all of us here are quite unbiased. And we do have a few comments. Firstly, from Numero 1 Superfly. Hello, I hope you're having a great day. And also WWE_26. I hope you're having a great day as well. And also Bobby Petito is joining us, saying Julia defends the New Japan Strong Women's Championship against Megan Bane at Stardom Dream Queenland today. I did not see that match yet. I definitely need to check it out. I've heard good things. And I also heard a very interesting challenge was thrown out after that appearance as well, that match. We've also got Soul in the comments mentioning my new camera angle as well. Yeah, there we are. I got some lighting in the background now. But we also have a lot of comments over on Instagram. Remember, you guys can watch us there now as Well, we got Clark Taylor making fun of the mute button again. It always gets us. It gets all of us. We've also got Clark saying Vegas, Carty Carnett. Sorry, yeah, Carnett is about to go wild because, of course, Carter and his brother or his cousin, whatever it is, Carty, are both in Vegas today as well. But let's just jump right straight into things. Let's jump straight into these predictions and let's just kick things off talking about the tournament, which of course has been ongoing for the past few weeks in All Elite Wrestling, and that is the Continental Classic. Of course, we had 6 people in each group, a total of 12. There was the Blue League, there was the Gold League. Well, now we know the winners for both. We know Eddie Kingston won the Blue League, Jon Moxley won the Gold League, and this Saturday, tomorrow night, Moxley, Kingston are fighting off once again the former best friends, and the winner will be crowned the modern Triple Crown champion. Shad, what's your thoughts heading into this one?
So I spoke about it briefly yesterday when we reviewed Dynamite, in regards to the matches that happened Wednesday, obviously the results that have occurred, but all that has happened with the entire tournament and the promo exchange between Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, you a fool if you say you were not excited for this match. Like, Eddie Kingston sold me a first class ticket to have my butt glued on the couch looking at that TV and rooting for him. And it's one of those situations where I feel professional wrestling as fans, we love the art of what happens in ring, but we love stories. And you always say story is king.
Yeah.
What's more telling to a story than actual real life relationships tied to it? Two guys that have bled together, have been working together for years upon years. A person where, if you're a younger sibling, you may even relate to it. It's kind of one of those things where, like, you have like the other sibling who's kind of going off and showing out, and you have a sense of jealousy for it. And Eddie Kingston is the most real wrestler in professional wrestling. He makes you feel every genuine emotion you can feel when he talks. And everything that he said on Wednesday night at Dynamite had me with goosebumps, man. Because I feel like I've been going into this entire Continental Classic up and down, not being a huge fan of it, but growing to it as it's going on. Him kind of resurging and fighting his way back up, getting to this championship match, and all the importance that those belts mean to him, it has me rooting for him. So I'm definitely excited for it. I know him and Moxley are gonna put on a banger of a match. They're gonna tell a great story. And I'm really hoping Eddie wins. And I think it's just Eddie Kingston's moment uh for him to get his comeuppance and become this new triple crown champion that they are paying off with the Continental Classic. So I got Eddie with the win.
I like what you said there, and I also like what you said about, of course, when you kind of blur the lines between fiction and reality in wrestling. Of course, Moxley and Kingston, we know they've known each other for years and years now. We've seen them feud in AEW, and every time it's been a banger of a bout, and I have
Let,
no doubts
let's
that tomorrow will
let's
be
not
no
forget
different.
Eddie saved his life from that exploding ring during the pandemic.
He certainly did. He jumped right on top of him and
Saved,
oh,
saved his
basically
life.
started dry humping him.
Saved his life.
Saved his life.
Oh man.
Well, he's saved, and he shouldn't have done it because if he didn't save his life, then well, he actually would have been fine. But let's pretend it really did go off. Well, then he would have, he'd be against somebody else in this tournament final, and maybe he'd have a better chance of winning it. But I agree. I think Eddie Kingston is going over in this match. It's his tournament to win, and then it's his job to make this modern triple crown championship. It's a bit of a tongue twister.
That's the
Mean
key.
something essentially.
That's the
Mean
key.
something.
I said it yesterday. I said him getting that moment is going to be great. What's telling is what they make of this title and his reign after that. We have to make it
Mm.
important. He deserves to feel just as important as a MJF, as a John Moxley, as a Danielson. This guy is the most underrated superstar for that reason because everyone loves him. He just never got his due diligence. Because I've been people were saying he's just a mid Carter, all that. I don't see it like that. I see him as a premier star in AEW, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I mean, he's undoubtedly one of the best talkers in the company. And, promos are what tell stories. And like I say, like you said, story is king. Eddie Kingston has the potential. He has the potential to make the title mean something, but he's got to do it. He's got to follow through with it. And hopefully this Saturday, tomorrow night, will be the start of that journey. And I'm all here for it. We know he's a big fan of Japanese wrestling and, the history of the actual Triple Crown in Japan. So, I mean, listen, the modern Triple Crown in America, let's hope that he can make it mean something.
King of the bums, let's go.
Those chants on Dynamite, I kept distracting me. They were that funny.
I need the t-shirt for it.
Yes, put that on some merch. Come on, let's do that. But what about you, Carter? How are you feeling heading into this pay-per-view? Eddie Kingston, Jon Moxley, the final of this month-long Continental Classic tournament. But who is your pick to win the Triple Crown?
So I think, Ben, this match is delightful, and it goes to show you it's the culmination of why this, sorry, Cardi Cornette, this Japanese style, Premier League style, point system style tournament was fantastic. If you're like a smart mark like me and Eddie Kingston and all of us here, I mean, you love this stuff. And I've been catching up on old CZW, and I've been watching Eddie Kingston's run in that, and his talking ability is insane. He is, I mean, I put a promo out on my Instagram where he was talking about getting hit with a baseball bat and getting out of rehab, and like he's just one of the toughest. I'm gonna watch my English here, but mother, you know what I'm talking about. Like he's the man. I'm picking Eddie Kingston to win this one. It's gonna be a banger match. The triple threat to get Moxley to this was. I haven't accessed my Cage Match account yet, but when I get to it, it will be 10 out of 10 stars from my official account, not Cardi Cornette. And I just think Tony's been absolutely delivering, and Eddie he loves the history of the Triple Crown title and the ties to New Japan and Ring of Honor. And I mean, the man just there's no more deserving of a person to win this title than Eddie Kingston. So that is my official prediction. My cousin in the other room, sorry, he might be against it, picking a Chikara guy, but Eddie Kingston.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Carter. I do agree Eddie Kingston is so deserving of this. I disagree on you saying that nobody deserves it more than him, because I think one guy does, and I think that guy was Swerve Strickland. But obviously that boat has sailed. They missed that opportunity. But now, Eddie Kingston, great second choice. He really is, and I am excited for that as well. And of course, Tony Khan confirmed yesterday that AEW based their booking somewhat of the ratings on Cage Match. So if you're there giving that a 10 or whatever, well, I guess you'll see more of it. I guess that's how we do booking in 2023. I'm not criticizing it. It's, it's listening to the fans' voice, I guess. But it just depends is that the audience which you want to, are you going to grow if you just listen to that audience and just cater to them? Or do you need to also listen to more of a casual voice? I think you need to find a mix of both, and hopefully that is what they will do. But, I mean, what about you, Bret? I mean, how are you feeling heading into the Continental Classic final? How have you felt about the tournament? Because we haven't spoken much about it in the last few weeks. How are you feeling heading into this, this final? Is it worth it for you?
Yeah, I would say it's worth it. Yes, the mute button didn't get me this time.
Ha!
We're good. Don't worry, guys. Yeah, I do think it's very worth it. I do think that we had this conversation, I think it was 2 weeks ago, where we talked about how Eddie Kingston was getting overshadowed, overlooked, and it was just not he came in offering these two belts, and he was just not getting what he bargained for, in a sense, in the beginning. So that made it a lot more muddier going forward, because he had to, in your mind, as a fan, in your mind, you have to think Eddie Kingston needs to win these certain matches to go ahead and move forward. Then it kind of rigged for me as a general viewer. It kind of rigged the rest of his league for me, because it was like, okay, now Eddie Kingston's going to win this. Now he's going to draw this. Now he's going to do this. It's like I understood it and I get it. And all props to Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, because I think without those two, this would not be able to be done. Because I think when Moxley had said on show that Eddie was about to walk out the door and leave wrestling, I think that was part of the agreement, because Eddie Kingston doesn't necessarily have a cemented legacy in wrestling yet. And that's unfortunate because of how he is as a person and as a wrestler. He doesn't have that cemented legacy. This will cement his legacy.
No, it certainly will, to become, the modern Triple Crown champion in AEW, especially if, Anthony talked about it yesterday on the show. They need to make this title feel important. They don't just want it to be yet another championship. But if they do manage to do it successfully, if they do manage to make this feel like a major title, maybe have this on Dynamite, the AEW title on Collision, if they manage to pull that off, then yes, you're right, Bret. Undoubtedly, Eddie Kingston will go down in the history books as the first ever, champion there. I mean, Numero One Superfly agrees with us, saying that he's got Eddie Kingston winning the tournament as it was pretty much made for him.
Yes.
And he can't really see Jon Moxley benefiting from being a Triple Crown champion. Bobby Batista also agrees. I think we're all in agreement.
The only person that benefits from this is Eddie Kingston, because this is like, I don't think this tournament was made for Eddie Kingston, but I think that he's the only person on that leaderboard who we see every week that will genuinely benefit from this. And in the future, God knows when, it might be named after him because it might be, his legacy might be cemented that much. I really think that this tournament is making Eddie Kingston's name in wrestling, for not just the backstage, but in the general viewer.
The Continental Kingston Classic. Maybe in 20 years' time, that is something that we see. I mean, he's undoubtedly been a standout in this inaugural tournament. And yeah, it's going to be a fun time. I'm very, very excited for it. But something else that I am excited about on this card is to see that sociopath Adam Copeland get beaten up and just buried in his own blood in the middle of the ring, because the best Father of the Year, Christian Cage, what are they calling him now? He's got a billion different names, but the fact of the matter is that the Patriarch, Christian Cage, he's going to win. He's going to bury Adam Copeland. Adam Copeland is going to be a jobber after this, and that is the way that it should be, because Adam Copeland, he is a sociopath. He tried to frame Christian Cage as a bad guy, but as more and more evidence is coming out, clear as day evidence, right? Is coming out now week after week after week. Everybody's siding themselves with the Patriarch Christian Cage. First, it was Nick Wayne acknowledging that he needed a bit of Christian Cage in his life. Before then, Nick Wayne's mother decided that she also needed a bit of him in her life as well, and decided to join the patriarchy. And of course, Luchasaurus, one of the oldest people on this planet, maybe the oldest, well, he was taken out by a sickening attack by Adam Copeland as well. Sorry, not Luchasaurus. I called him by his former name. What's he called now? Killshot. Killshot is the name that you shall use. But yes, it's absolutely... Kill Switch, not Killshot. Kill Switch, right? See, Adam Copeland's been going around trying to invade my own thought by calling him Luchasaurus. That is not his name anymore. It's now Kill Switch, of course. But yeah, it's Adam Copeland's going to get squashed here, and so be it. Can we never see him again on our TV screens? It's absolutely no coincidence that AEW views have gone down since he joined that company, and since he tried to make these absolutely foul and lies of allegations against Christian Cage, who we all know is an absolutely wonderful human being and the true salt of the earth. But Shad, What about this? And how many minutes do you reckon it'll take for Adam Copeland to get beaten and have to be moved out of this company for good?
Oh man, I don't know if I could top that. That's pretty on spot, but I'll try to rebuttal after that. But um, I'm gonna be honest with you, Ben. This match should feel way more important than it does. And I don't know if that's telling that they've done a great job building other stuff like the Continental Classic, obviously everything going on with MJF and the Devil, and even the women's feuds. I think that the whole Abaddon and Julia Hart and Rio and Tony Storm feuds have been fun, but like I don't know, I feel like this match needed to happen a little bit later in time rather so quickly from when it happened last. Does that mean I'm not excited for it? Absolutely not. I'm definitely excited for it. I thought the last match they had was a great one. I thought it was a pretty, you know, satisfying ending, a nice little maybe you can tell what was coming, but a swerve to some people with Nick Wayne's mom. But I just don't know. Do we give Adam Copeland, artist formerly known as Edge, another loss to Christian again? Because I
Yes.
feel like yes, because I don't feel like Christian needs to lose this title and lose this quick on it. But if he does lose again, that's two losses in a row to him. It's kind of in an odd booking situation, and I don't know if you've built enough momentum for them to, maybe make up and Christian eventually aligning back with Edge. So I feel like there is going to be another wrinkle in this story. And to me, it's probably going to have to do with the members of the patriarchy. And it probably is going to have to tie back with Mama Wayne. I think that Christian's friends are going to turn on Christian tomorrow. And I think it's going to lead to Edge winning the title, and then I think they attack Edge as well. And I think we'll eventually get a feud that will, maybe line them two together. Maybe it'll be Edge versus the artist formerly known as uh Luchasaurus. I don't know. There's a lot of different paths for it, but I can't see Edge losing them all. So I'm gonna go with Adam Copeland winning. I'm sorry, Ben.
I cannot believe you said that, but I will say something. You said that, of course, if Adam Copeland loses tomorrow, he is 2-0. Well, who did Adam Copeland replace in AEW? He replaced CM Punk. How many fights did CM Punk have in UFC? 2. How many losses did he have? 2. He was 2-0 and then got cut. Well, guess what? Adam Copeland is going to be 2-0, and hopefully Tony Khan will do the right thing and cut him as well, and I'll never have to see that sociopath on my screen again, and we can all just rejoice in this Christian Cage TNT Championship era. I mean, honestly, Warner Brothers Discovery should be chucking money at AEW to have Christian Cage being the face of something associated with the letters TNT. It's the most relevant they ever have been and ever will be. But we do have a couple of comments here. We got Numero One Superfly saying that's correct. He's being correct about it. He's saying, I've got Christian Cage winning the match unless Adam has some backup. That cheat. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. Wouldn't at all. Absolute cheater. And Bobby Petito believes that Jack Perry might finally see the light and acknowledge Christian Cage as his true father figure. I hope that you are right there, Bobby, as well. And I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. Ahmed Bilal _Awan on Instagram is saying, you think Copeland's gonna pin Christian and win the TNT title? Of course not. What am I, an idiot? I don't think so. But Bret, I know you have something you wanted to quickly add on this one. What did you want to say?
Hi, Shad. Anyway, what I was gonna say is we haven't seen Kill Switch. I guess we're calling him now. Like I said, he's so old. He's had 17,000 names, so we don't really know.
He's now got the correct one though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Kill Switch. So Kill Switch, I believe I haven't seen him in a few weeks or so, I believe. Am I right? So
Since that sociopath Adam Copeland took him out.
I think that sociopath Adam Copeland might actually go lower than Christian. I think there's a possibility of
Me.
I have a feeling that he's actually going to go lower and be more of a dig deeper into that heel role that he wanted to in WWE with Judgment Day. But I think he's going to do it over here now the way he wants to.
Well, it would not surprise me. He's a liar. He's a cheater. I mean, you can say a million things bad about Adam Copeland, and quite frankly, all of them are true. Christian Cage will take the win tomorrow night. But now let's move on and let's talk about the next match. Let's talk about the AEW Women's World Championship, as Timeless Toni Storm will be putting her championship on the line against Riho. Now, I have said a lot about the AEW Women's Division as of late, or I should say more specifically, the booking of it, because as I always say, the talent in that division is stacked. I don't ever think that's the issue. I haven't thought that's been an issue for at least a couple of years now, right? But the booking of it just hasn't been that good. But at least sure they built something between Toni Storm and Riho. It's not great, it's not much of a story, but at least they kind of built, Riho up as a challenger. They kept putting her against the other people who hate Toni Storm. It made no sense, but it's over now. They built Riho up. Championship match tomorrow night. Carter, do you reckon we're gonna see a title change here?
Ben, I need to come clean here. And when I'm driving on the freeway and I'm feeling frustrated and I'm feeling sad, you know what I put on, Ben? I put on the Riho theme music, and then all happiness enters my body, and I enter an elevated state of consciousness. Riho beat Kenny Omega at, 8 years old, 9 years old, 11 years. Let's just go with that very young age. Riho is, Cardi Cornette's anti-Joshi. I am extremely pro-Joshi. I think this is going to build a great story for Riho to take the title off of Toni Storm and to build up a rematch. That being said, Tony's sneaky. I mean, as wrestling marks, we are very lucky to have a star such as herself grace us with her presence, with her showwomanship. I guess we're very lucky that she entered our universe with that star power. So I mean, there might be some trickery. You might see Mariah May doing something. I don't have his name with me, but the Butler, we might see the Butler come out and slide something under the ring. But I'm going with Riho. Riho via submission or via some sort of triple swan dive. And that's what I'm going with. And then building up a fantastic rematch and pretty good women's booking by Tony Khan standards too, I would say. I'm sorry, Ben.
And the bar is low for that, but I would agree, good for his standards. But we got a couple of comments here. Firstly, we got Chubby Chelsea in the comments saying, W stream, thank you, Chubby. And he's saying, this is the first ever AEW Worlds End. Indeed, it is. We got Bobby Petito saying he could see Mariah May helping Timeless Toni Storm win against Riho, and then Mariah May wrestles against Riho this week on Dynamite. Well, Bobby, I think you are bang on there. I mean, we've seen it time and time again with TK's booking. It's just extremely predictable when it comes to the women's division. Mariah May said last week her first match will be this week. Then Riho came out. Rio's challenging Toni tomorrow night. So it's kind of obvious. So I do agree with you there. And we got number one Superfly saying, and the AEW Women's Championship goes to Timeless Toni Storm. Seriously though, they need better challengers to face Toni Storm. They need better storylines.
Highly disagree with that comment. Numero one.
The last part of that comment.
The real disrespect that I hear week by week is becoming so frustrating. Do we forget that she's the first ever AEW Women's Champion? Oh my goodness. I just don't understand it. I don't know why people view her.
It's the storytelling.
It's booking, but that has nothing to do with her as a competitor.
Nothing.
That girl is a great competitor.
Same with Shida. Same with all of these other characters who want to get in the spotlight, and all of these fans or these marks, whoever you want to call them online, they go ahead and they crap on these people all of the time.
Yep, and they want a fantasy book that sign this, that, and the third. You don't need to sign the entire free agent pool of women when you have a plethora of women competitors on your rosters that are talented and can be put in position. But that's all I gotta say. I
I
stand for
agree.
Rio.
I agree completely. I mean, again, I got a bit of criticism on the Bird app. Well, not anymore now, it's the X app. The other day, or a couple weeks ago now, because I said something bad about the AEW Women's Division, and that comment was about the booking of it, and everybody was saying to me, oh, you're only saying it because everybody hates on the Women's Division and the competitors in it. No, I don't. I think the competitors in it are actually unbelievable. I think they are great top tier competitors. I complain because they don't get given time. And in fairness, with very little time, it's hard to do good booking. And I mean, that's why. So, if only the person booking it was the same person giving it time. Oh, wait, it is. But anyway, we got a comment here. We're very used to seeing Chaos' secretary in the chat. Well, now Shard's manager is in the chat and is highlighting how Shard stands Rio. I mean, fair enough. Rio squad.
Second chapter Rio fan club. I am the leader of that, as well as the chapter leader of the Tiffany Stratton fan club. If you guys want to join Tuesday, it's Tiffy Tuesdays, and then Wednesdays for Rio. We in here, man.
Absolutely, we are. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about the guy who I said should have won the Continental Classic, and that, of course, is Mr. Swerve Strickland, one of the most over guys in all Elite Wrestling right now. This guy has bucket loads of potential, and they kind of just randomly remembered about his feud with Keith Lee. I think it was Anthony who said it best. They found the storyline behind the sofa. It fell behind at some point. They forgot all about it. They were doing a nice little spring clean in December, and they found it behind the sofa, and they were like, hey, or couch as you guys call it in America, and they were like, hey, let's run this back now for no apparent reason at a completely random time. And I guess they're doing it. Swerve needs to win you. It's as simple as that. Bret, what's your thoughts on it?
Really quick, what do you call a couch over there?
A sofa.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we call it the same thing. I thought you said something else. Anyway, they did definitely dig this storyline up from in between the cracks of the sofa, as you just said. I don't know why they came back to it. I think it's because of the void. They didn't want to give Swerve a void in a sense because of how big he's getting right now. But I do believe that there is a way to capitalize off of this. So who won in the first bout between them two? It was Keith Lee, correct?
I actually genuinely can't even remember if they actually ever even had a fight. Or I think they might have it on Rampage, wasn't it? Or something like that.
They fought before, and I believe Keith Lee went over on him. I'm not for certain on that, but the fans will be able to help tell us.
I'll fact check now.
But anyway, I think that this is opportunity for Swerve to go ahead and literally pick apart Keith Lee limb by limb. Like, I really see him being a technician and like a mercenary almost at this point where he's going for the top, and Keith Lee is that big giant rock that's just sitting right in front of him that won't budge. In a sense, like he's been trying to get past it, and it will help him go to the next level, but he hasn't been able to almost get over on him because all he's been doing has been battering him down. So I really think that in this bout between the two, we're going to see Swerve really just go at. It's going to be a banger of a match, but I think we're really going to see we're going to see Swerve take apart Keith Lee and just not have him in his picture anymore.
Well, I 100% agree with you, Brad. I do agree that Swerve is going to win. I think Swerve is going to win dominantly, and if he doesn't, it's a booking mistake. It really is. But I heard your phone ringing, and now so is mine, right? My phone's ringing. Hello? Yeah, yep. I'm right. As I always am right. They've never faced each other before. But they found this storyline today, and yeah, Swerve Strickland for the win. I'll agree with you on
Yeah,
that one, Brett.
someone was calling. They didn't like what I had to say, obviously. So, but either way, Swerve is going over, and he's got not Keith Lee is not going to be an obstacle in his way from this point forward.
Yeah, no, I hope you're right. I hope they forget about this now because they forgot about it for so long. I don't care anymore. Number one supervisor, Swerve has to win this match 100%. Bobby Petito agreed. Watching Bobby Petito saying Swerve should be wrestling for the World Championship at Revolution or Double or Nothing. Bobby, I couldn't agree more. I really couldn't. I mean, we got IG.Rubes on Instagram asking, what do you think is next for Keith Lee after he loses to Swerve? I mean, that's the sad thing about it, you know. He's been so underutilized in AEW. And I mean, I don't know. And the worst part is, I don't particularly care. And I should care because he's such a great, great talent. Somebody who I've been a fan of for years and years now. So why don't I care? I don't know. I really don't. And it's frustrating. It's annoying. Bucket bed or whatever. The roster's too big. All these issues I talk about every week. And it's not an easy solution. There isn't. You just need to shrink that roster. Very, very desperately. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about, well, one in which there is a story, but it's one which has not been. I mean, the previous storyline we were just talking about, they just forgot about for months. Well, this one, I feel like they could have told it for a few more months because, of course, CJ Perry and Andrade, they've been in an alliance recently, and Miro said that, hey, while the Continental Classic is going on, I won't lay a single finger on Andrade, but once it's over, I will. Well, I kind of presumed that meant that Miro was going to brutally attack him after the bell in Andrade's last match or something. I didn't expect that he was going to throw it on randomly on World's End. And don't get me wrong, Q. I'm excited for this match. I'm a big fan of both Miro and Andrade. And more than anything, I'm happy that they're getting pay-per-view time. But I feel like this is a little too early, and I'm hoping it's just the start of a story. This is one of those where maybe it kicks off the story, it progresses for a few more months, they do a rematch at Revolution. It's fantastic, and I say, hang on, I was wrong, they knew what they were doing, and I hope I am wrong. But Shard, what are your thoughts heading into this one?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to be a person that comes off pessimistic or whatnot, but my biggest pet peeve that I have with AW booking leading into pay per views is that we spend a lot of ample time way before focusing on a few matches, a few main stage rivalries that get built to the pay per view, and then we have matches sprinkled in. Especially with this last over a month, it's been highly focused on the Continental Classic, right? So you have to put an ample amount of time on there for that. Um, sorry, my cat's trying to interfere right here. Uh, but
Hey, Cat
but
Cashin.
but the issue is we don't put enough. We hyper book feuds leading into it and just add them onto it, and I feel that takes so much nuance away from the importance and excitement of a feud. Because, bro, Miro and Andrade, that's a amazing match to have for a pay per view. That match deserves all the time built to have fans invested and excited for it. And I have no problem with the story that is built for it as well, because I thought it was a pretty set story with CJ coming into AW, trying to find her own footing because Miro is trying to keep away from her because he's put a lot of time and importance mentioning his wife prior to it. His wife comes here. There's a great story to it. She's doing her own footing. She's managing other leaders, other wrestlers and whatnot. And yeah, like you could have built something to it. I don't even think these two have had an encounter like on the mic with each other, if I'm not mistaken. Like there
No,
hasn't
no.
like everything has been based off of him and CJ. Andrade just seems like a third wheel in this entire feud, and that's not cool because Andrade is that dude. He is an incredible professional wrestler. He looks like $1,000,000. He got a lot of swagger to him. I like the idea of having him paired with CJ Perry, but I mean it has me confused because these two deserve a more telling feud, and I feel like that's been a lot of the case for a lot of Miro feuds in general. He hasn't had, except his first initial run as the TBS champion. I feel they've been very stop and go with him. They've had him on a shelf, and it's a waste of someone that great. Like that dude is a powerhouse. He could be a beast, like how you have Gunther on WWE or like a Brock Lesnar type of dude. That was a lot of the issue with Rusev, like with WWE too. I feel like this guy for some reason doesn't get his due time for it. So but needless to say, I know the match is gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a banger of a match. I think Miro's gonna probably win it. And I guess we'll see what happens from there. I'm curious to see what happens with Andrade. I wouldn't mind seeing him get back with his La Faction Noblesse with Roosh and them, but hey, we'll just have to wait and see.
LFI.
LFI.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more with you. And there's also a comment you which I couldn't agree more with. I think it just sums it up perfectly. And that's from the birthday boy himself, Drizzy, who's commenting the Swerve and Lee story came along too late. And this Miro and Andrade match is too rushed. And this is the best part. He says, stop rushing the steak and let it cook. Bang on. I couldn't agree more.
Throw the twos up for my boy Drizzy. Happy birthday, man.
We've also got Numero wants to reply saying that Miro wins, and then after that, Miro and CJ Perry love each other again and become partners. Well, unless it's involving Christian Cage, I don't want to see that. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about, well, the TBS Championship. Let's talk the women's division once again, because Carter, of course, Julia Hart, she's been given a character over the last few months, and it's worked brilliantly. It's worked wonders. Well, a few months now, it's been a year. But, you know, it's worked wonders for her. It really, really has. I'm invested into that character. I care. And, of course, the Sky Blue Julia Hart storyline, it's all a mess. It's all rushed, but... and not rushed, but they kind of... they went in one direction, then they abandoned that direction, they went in another direction. It's all confusing, and I don't care enough to rant about it today. I've gone on too many rants about it. I'm going to stop ranting about it, and I'm going to calm down. Deep breath. Right, we're coming down. But Julia Hart will take on Abaddon tomorrow night, the TBS Championship. Abaddon on your TV, and it's not October. That might just be moment of the year. But Carter, will we see a new TBS Championship champion, or will Julia Hart retain that belt?
Well, Ben, you can relax for a little bit, but I got to warn you, and I'm happy you did that earlier with your phone. My cousin, Cardi Cornett, he's been texting me. He's been texting me about this match, and he said, of course, the little cheerleader Julia Hart's going to win. Of course she is, but it's not believable at all. It's an example of horrible women's booking. Again, this should be on a Friday or a Wednesday, but it's on a pay-per-view. And Cardi says it's another example of Tony's indie-rific speed booking in the women's division, on a character who he built up pretty good. And again, this isn't my opinion. This is my cousin. He's been losing money at the slot machine, so he's a little riled up. He's a little angry, but he does think that Julia Hart's going to win, but he's a little angry about how not believable kind of that outcome is. And also, he told me I was very wrong for my earlier prediction on Riho. He says the 15 to 20 pounds on Tony Storm's going to make all the difference. So that's what Mr. Carnett's been cooking in the kitchen, if you guys were wondering.
Oh, it breaks me every time. But I mean, Carter, of course, those are not your opinions. Those are the opinions of that mischievous Carty Carnett, who, yeah, like you said, is currently losing a lot of money. I hope you have a better rest of your afternoon, Carty. But now let's move on, and let's move on to talk about something I don't particularly want to see, and that is just a random 8-man tag team match. I mean, I've said it before. We've joked on this show before. I don't like 8-man tag team matches. I don't like 5-on-5 tag team matches, unless it's a War Games or a Survivor Series type thing, right? As a most part, I think they are senseless, and I don't like them. I don't want to see them. I don't like them at all. It's a personal thing. It's complete bias, alright? I don't know why I don't like them. I just don't. But there are now 2 on this card, and both of them feel as random as each other, basically. And the first one, I mean, I'm not even going to get into the one announced today. It's basically all the faces from the Continental Classic against all the heels from the Continental Classic, apart from there's a bit of overlap. Some of it doesn't make sense. And I did a tweet about it. You can check that out on @BenAllison. is it at Ben Allison WR, my Twitter? I think that must be what it is. But you can see my tweet there. We retweeted it at Wrestling Republic, and I gave my opinion on it. So we're not going to talk about that right now, but what we will talk about is this 8-man tag team match between Ricky Starks, Big Bill, Carl Fletcher, and Powerhouse Hobbs. Basically, the Don Callis family plus Ricky Starks and Big Bill facing Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Sting, and Darby Allin. Oh, it's like keeping up with the Kardashians, keeping up with who Jericho's friends are not friends with. I mean, he's obviously in a very forgiving mood this week, and apparently so is Sting. I mean, so is Darby Allin too, and also Darby Allin seemingly forgiven Sammy Guevara. This is all just very complicated. I don't know why we're seeing this. Bret, save me here.
Yeah, you're giving me agita just thinking about it, honestly. But I think that because all of these people we're talking about that are in both of these factions, not just one. I guess the other one's a faction now, Darby, Sting, and the other two, Chris Jericho and Guevara. But I believe that there is way too much star power in this match whatsoever for it to be like an 8-man tag. There's no reason for it to be that whatsoever, especially right now if we're building for, I guess this is the building for Sting's go home match, because it's either going to be, in my opinion, him versus Jericho for the last match of his career, or it's going to be him versus someone big, but I just think it's going to be Jericho. And I think that this is the start of everyone kind of paying their tribute or homage to Sting, unfortunately, and we're just getting it it's unfolding for us in the wrong way on television or match-wise. I don't think that this match is going to be good. Yeah, it's going to be watchable. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it's going to be an amazing match. I'll be like, oh my God. But at the same time, I think that this match will start the storyline to the end of Sting, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, I do think you're right. We got a comment here from at ig.rubes on Instagram saying, do you guys think Darby should turn on Sting? I don't think that's going to happen. Maybe it will, but I think Darby versus Sting will probably be the last match. Numero One Superfly says that it's completely random. Both of these 8-man tag team matches, and it just doesn't really make sense. I mean, Bobby Petito, usually Bobby's very, very positive. But, I mean, about this one, he's confused as well. I mean, listen, just tell us some stories on pay-per-views, like, please. Like, they have, the rest of this card's got a lot of stories, but these 2 8-man tag matches just weren't needed at all. They've just completely messed it up.
I just don't understand why they're throwing the Don Callis family into it, but I get why they're starting this whole feud, because I can see Jericho versus Sting for the last match. I really can. I think that will be the last match, unfortunately.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it along the way, but as the last match, that one is not for me whatsoever. But anyway, let's now move on to talk about the main event of the evening. And that will be Maxwell Jacob Friedman in possibly his last appearance for All Elite Wrestling, as he will defend the AEW Championship against Carter's favorite, Samoa Joe. And Samoa Joe, of course, turned heel this week as he, I guess assisted the devil or paid the devil off or whatever to just screw over MJF to help build this feud. But today MJF has done a very interesting, not interview even, a very interesting article. He's written it himself. And in that interview, he said that he still isn't sure what he is going to do when his contract expires in a few days' time. But he said he understands that for the first time at AEW, fans are starting to get a little bit sick of him as champion. And he said that it just happens in life. Sometimes you lose steam and you think that's what's happening right now. And unfortunately, for that reason, I'm changing my prediction for this match. I've thought all week it's going to be MJF winning. For months, I thought it's going to be MJF winning. I actually think we're getting a new champion. I'm saying it now, a new champion at World's End. Samoa Joe will walk out as AEW World Champion, because I think MJF legitimately doesn't know what he's going to do next. I know for months Clark's been saying, hang on a second, he signed. He wouldn't be foolish enough to not sign and risk injury. Well, guess what? Now he's injured, and that worst case scenario, I guess, kind of has happened. But whether he stays or goes, and I think he will stay, I don't think he has signed a new deal yet. And I do think he'll be losing the AEW Championship. He'll take time to rehab, and then he'll return to All Elite Wrestling later next year, I guess, unfortunately. But, I mean, Bret, let's start with you. Joe, MJF, AEW Championship. Who is walking out with that title?
I think you're spot on, to be unfortunately honest with you, because I would love to see Max go forward and just continue this reign. Yeah, I'm not tired of it. I do see where people are coming from, where they say they are tired of it with his whole face run and everything. But also, as you pointed out, Joe is finally a heel. I think Joe's always been a heel. I don't think there's been a time where Joe has shown us that he's not a heel, even towards Max. I think that he's going out to get what he wants, not what anyone else is telling him to do. So I don't think that this deal with the devil necessarily, it probably is a money or whatever. They're going to explain it down the line in the storyline, but I don't think it's like he did make a deal with the devil. They'd said in the beginning that Adam was good friends with Joe. So I think that makes sense if it is going to be Adam. But I do think that this probably will be MJF's last match for a tiny bit. I don't think he's going to go away for a while or a long time. I think he's going to go away for a tiny bit so the fans can go ahead and reinvigorate that love for him. So saying that, I think MJF loses, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, I do think you're right, and it is unfortunate, like you said, and we got a comment here from @IG.Rubes saying, does AEW put 90-day clauses in their contracts? So the 90-day thing, to answer that question, I actually don't know that answer. I would presume they do. But if a contract expires, right, in WWE or AEW, there is no 90-day non-compete. That doesn't exist. That only exists if you have been fired or released from your deal. So if it expires on the day that it's meant to expire, like MJF's, well, if we believe him by what he's saying, next week, then no, there's no 90 days. He could appear at the Royal Rumble to answer, I presume, the follow-up question there. But what about you, Carter? Of course, I know you're a big Samoa Joe guy, but will he get that job done at World's End?
You guys are struggling with this prediction. I have the same prediction, and I'm not struggling with it. This is easy. Joe is going to come in. He cleaned up. We're looking at that title page. There's too many titles. He just got rid of one. He's going to clean up AEW. He's going to win the title. He's going to send MJF over to WWE to get it beat up by Gunther, Walter, and beef with the Alpha Academy. Honestly, this is Cardi Cornette again. Cardi Cornette called, and he said a lot of the tomfoolery in AEW is at the hands of MJF. You're seeing stars be suppressed. You're seeing guys win matches against guys maybe they shouldn't win. There's a believability issue kind of in AEW. And I think that Samoa Joe is going to come in and he's going to just clean everything up. And then whoever he feuds with next is going to be a beautiful feud. And then we're going to go send over MJF to the big company to kind of be the big fish in the bigger pond. That's my call. I mean, and the WWE part is crazy, but I'm just going to say it just because if it's true, then I could look at this and say I was right.
Well, sorry, Carty was right. Not you. You were quoting Carty, so I got to credit him in the end. But no, honestly, I will. It's a possibility, isn't it? Anything's possible. I've stopped guessing. Wrestling's just been crazy the last, 24 months now. Every time I think I know something, I don't know something. The dirt sheets, I'm not a fan of dirt sheets. I think they are just wrong in general. I think it's immoral. I think it's hurting the business. But also, they have been wrong a lot in the last 24 months. They're getting worked. It's just wrestling. It's unpredictable, and that's great. I love it. It's fun. You get all these rants and all that. It's a fun time to be a wrestling fan, that is for sure. That is an absolute But what about you, Shad? The main event of this pay-per-view, MJF, Samoa Joe. 2 questions. I'll answer them one at a time. Firstly, will MJF walk out as champion? And secondly, will MJF walk out of the company? What are your thoughts?
MJF will walk out as champion tomorrow night, and MJF is going to remain with All Elite Wrestling. I do feel that reading the article and seeing how much love and importance this company is, and being part of being a foot soldier to the ground up of what it is, I think that's gonna be the big surprise that we'll see tomorrow, is that he will show that his contract is signed. And I think that my man Drizzy said it in the comments as well. I think he's gonna get a little bit of help tomorrow. And I think that help is gonna come from the devil himself. I think MJF has been working with the devil this whole time. I think the devil has been part of Max's hand, and he was working with Joe. And I think that's the swerve. They want us to feel that Max is being bamboozled by the devil, and Samoa Joe is aligned and has the one up on him. Nah, nah, nah. MJF has one up on Samoa Joe. I think the devil will be visible tomorrow. He will show himself, and I think it will be Mr. Adam Cole coming back for his brochacho to help him out. Now, what happens with that? Is that mean Adam Cole is back ready to wrestle? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think they're gonna play the whole angle of that his contract is up. He's gonna take time. Will he go to AEW? Will he go to WWE? I feel that he's a lot much of a homer, and he loves that company with every fiber bone in his body. And I think Tony Khan would be a fool if he let that man walk out the door. I think he probably handed him a blank check, said, "Put whatever price you want, brother. All right, I'm signing it off." And I think that's the guy who'll be the stable of it, because you got to go with your guy, man. You don't have too many game changers as professional wrestlers, that especially that don't come out of the WWE pipeline as of late, right? Like, I mean, I remember AJ Styles back in Impact when I was young. Obviously, the people went from WCW, and prior to that, like, this is a guy who is a megastar in the landscape of pro wrestling, and that comes from not being from what is WWE. That comes from a small promotion, a rival promotion, and I think he has a lot of honor to that, and I think he wants to help see this thing grow. So I do think he is going to stay with AEW, and we'll be in for a show tomorrow. I say that, and I don't want him to lose also, because I want Swerve to beat him for the title. But that's all.
He is.
Well,
He is. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry.
I mean, in all honesty, about this situation, I said it months ago. My prediction I had then is the same prediction I have now. I think the devil is and always has been Adam Cole, but I don't think he's going to help MJF. I really don't think the devil's working with MJF in any way. I think we're going to see, what Drizzy described it yesterday as the undisputed kingdom. I mean, I said it months ago. I think these guys are the undisputed era. I think Bobby Fish, he's doing next to nothing right now. I think he's coming back.
So
He's doing
here's my
nothing else.
but here's my thing.
Plus the Young Bucks.
What's a easier battle to overcome if the devil let the devil beat Adam Cole and he wants that belt off of him? I'm betting on MJF, who's beat down, injured, to get the belt off of him, rather than Samoa Joe, who's a big imposing threat. I would probably try to work to get MJF that, and then turn on him from there.
I'll tell you why. I think genuinely MJF hasn't signed a contract. I think he was dumb enough to not sign it yet, and now he's hurt. He's got to take time off. I'm sure Tony will give him the deal and give him the deal he was always going to give him. I'm sure he'll sign it now and be like, okay, he'll take some time off. He'll stay at home. He'll heal up. And for that reason, Samoa Joe will be champion. Samoa Joe will then lead us into a feud with Swerve, where Swerve will hopefully win the AEW Championship. And then the Devil, we see some more stuff from the Devil and all of that, who's Adam Cole, who is also not cleared yet. And by the time MJF is cleared and can come back, so is Adam Cole. And then you can finish this story, maybe too late, but I think because of injuries, that's probably what's going to happen here. But listen, there's a lot of speculation. We can speculate all day about it, and that's what makes this pay-per-view exciting and what makes AEW right now exciting. I'm excited for this pay-per-view. I'm certainly going to be watching it tomorrow night live on pay-per-view. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're on Instagram, please give us a follow. If you're on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. It helps us out so much. And on Spotify, a cheeky 5 stars makes my week. It truly does. All the other platforms, do whatever, please, to help support us. It means the world to us. Thank you to Shad, thank you to Carter, and thank you to Bret for joining me here today. It's been a great show, and thank you to every single one of you who have watched. We will be back tomorrow to give our thoughts on 2023. See you guys. Peace.